Joining me now is California Congressman Brad Sherman. He's a member of the Committee on Foreign Affairs. Congressman, as I mentioned to the senator earlier, traffic in the Strait of Hormuz remains at a standstill after peace negotiations broke down before they could even begin. Trump calls himself, quote, the great negotiator. What do you think of his technique?
Well, he had negotiated that the strait would be open, that we would stop bombing. And then he decided, no, the strait wouldn't be open to the Iranians. So, of course, they may block the strait to everyone else. He had a 2-week ceasefire deal that could have been extended, but the strait needs to be open to ships of all countries.
Now, a new analysis from a major oil field services firm finds even if the war ended today, the Strait of Hormuz might not be able to reopen until the second half of the year. Another report says oil prices could rise to $200 a barrel if the strait remains closed into the summer, which could mean paying a minimum of $7 at the pump. Are Americans and the world prepared for the economic impact of this war?
The world isn't, and America shouldn't have to. We should stop exporting oil. I've got a bill that prohibits the export of oil except to send it to refineries where it'll be processed and brought back to the United States. The supply of oil in the United States exceeds our demand. And if we were paying a price not based on world supply and demand, but U.S. supply and demand, we'd be paying February prices. The president, I urged him to do it. He can do it without legislation. And he doesn't want to do that because he wants the billionaire oil folks to make huge dollars. They used to be selling their oil for 70. Now they're selling it for 90 and 100. They're very happy. And Trump doesn't see that as a problem. At a very minimum, we ought to have, and I've introduced other legislation on this, a windfall profits tax, because there's no reason that oil companies should make this enormous profit and get to keep it when it's not because they did a great job. It's just because the straits are closed.
Now, take a listen to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth at yesterday's Pentagon briefing.
This should not be America's fight alone. We barely use the Strait of Hormuz as a country. Our energy doesn't flow through there. Europe and Asia have benefited from our protection for decades. But the time for free riding is over. We are not counting on Europe, but they need the Strait of Hormuz much more than we do, and might want to start doing less talking and having less fancy conferences in Europe and get in a boat. This is much more their fight than ours.
Is continuing to antagonize our allies helping anything? I mean, could this backfire, Congressman?
Not at all, and his premise is completely wrong. When you say that Trump has said we benefit from oil gas prices because for him, we are billionaire oil company and the big oil companies. We are paying a lot more for gasoline if we means the American people. And so as far as what we're paying at the pump, it's as affected by the Strait of Hormuz as it would be in Europe or Asia. That's because the president has made sure that our oil prices rise to that world oil price. He could restore much less expensive gasoline to the United States, but that would take money away from his billionaire oil buddies. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to talk about it.
Now, you also sit on the Financial Services Committee. As we mentioned earlier this week, the Justice Department dropped its criminal probe of Fed Chair Jerome Powell. But his fellow Federal Reserve Governor, Lisa Cook, who has also been accused of wrongdoing with little to no evidence, is still under the microscope. Do you think these unsubstantiated investigations have damaged the independence of the Fed moving forward?
I hope the damage isn't permanent, but it clearly has damaged the Fed. And if you look at Turkey and other countries where they've interfered in their central bank, it really causes major problems for their economy. Now, we're the biggest economy in the world, and we can hit it with a sledgehammer now and then, and maybe it doesn't show immediate pain. But this is a a really bad move when we need to be able to tell markets around the world that our central bank is independence. And both investigations are totally bogus.
Now, before I let you go, this week, the 6 candidates for California governor duked it out on the debate stage ahead of the June 2nd primary. Members of your party are worried that if someone on the Democrat side doesn't emerge as a front runner, the race could come down to 2 Republicans in a runoff. Are you confident that won't happen?
I'm not confident. I'm pretty hopeful. I think that in the next couple of weeks, we'll end up with 2 or 3 strong Democrats instead of what we have now, which is 3 to 6 strong Democrats. But Trump could be could cause greater problems. He's endorsed one of the 2 Republicans. And so if all the Republicans united behind him, then we'd be sure that the number 2 candidate would be a Democrat. If Trump announces in early June, oh, Republicans, vote for the number 2 Republican so that we can get them both in, that could throw us for a loop. So also what's surprising is that in every other primary I've seen in this country, when Trump makes an endorsement, that's of huge significance. In California, it's been a modest significance. Republicans in California haven't listened to him as much as Republicans in other states. But we shouldn't assume that the Republican vote will unify behind Steve Hilton. If it splits 50-50 between himself and Bianco, we could end up with 2 Republicans because we have a really bad system in California. We should always have a Democrat and a Republican on the ballot in November. That's what people expect to see.
All right, California Congressman Brad Sherman, thank you for being with us.